Hello and welcome back to another sewing tutorial. My name is Ann-Sophie and I'm the person behind Sewing with Solana, and I share my love of sewing with you. And I sell digital sewing patterns, but I also film sewing tutorials for you, like today, where I show you how to make pieces from your own measurements, so you don't need to purchase a sewing pattern. And this top that we're making today, I made it a few days ago for the first time because I was filming a series, or not a series, but just like a YouTube video where I was sewing my Pinterest mood board, and I saw this photo on there and I wanted to recreate this top. I had already saved it a while ago, and then I was like, okay, now is the perfect time to give it a go. And it turned out so amazing. And then I posted a story and I got so many messages asking for a sewing tutorial or for a sewing pattern. But because I think this top is so easy to make, I want to show you how you can make it from your own measurements and just make your own sewing pattern for it. So that's what I'm going to do today. And to make this top, you need jersey fabric. Your fabric needs to be stretchy. My fabric, so I'm going to be using two different colors of fabric just because I think that's going to make it easier for me to show you how to make it, because we're going to have the full top double lined, and then I'm going to be using the gray as my lining fabric and the pink as my main fabric. I really think I did the same for my tube top tutorial, and so many of you told me that made it a lot easier to follow. So I think I'm gonna, just do the same again for this top. But again, if you follow along, I would recommend you just using one color, just because, it's gonna look a bit nicer in my opinion. So we're gonna start making the sewing pattern. You need a couple of measurements, so have your measuring tape ready, and then I use brown packaging paper to make my sewing pattern. We need two sewing pattern pieces, one piece that goes around our waist and then one pattern piece for our bust. And we're just going to start by making the pattern piece for our waist. And you take your measuring tape, you wrap it around your waist, and then whatever number you have, I would suggest you to take away 2 centimeters and not add any seam allowance, just because you want the top to be tight and the fabric is stretchy anyways. So make it a bit smaller than your waist. And then you need to figure out how long you want to make yours. I would suggest I made mine last time 17 centimeters and I'm gonna make it 17 centimeters again. So you just wanna measure from below your bust to however long you want your top to be. So let's make that sewing pattern really quickly. So my waist measures 70 centimeters, and I'm going to take away 2 centimeters. So I'm going to make my sewing pattern piece 68 centimeters wide and 17 centimeters long. I have named this top the Gigi top, so I'm just going to write Gigi top cut times 2 and following the grain line like this. So here we have my bust pattern piece. I'm going to show you in a second how I got all those measurements. So from here to here, for me that measures 40 centimeters, and you get that measurement by taking your measuring tape and you start measuring right below your bust. So I'm going to start measuring right where my bra wire is to the middle of your neck and the back, because that's where we sew the two pieces together later. And for me, that's 40 centimeters. So again, measure from under your bust where your bra wire sits to the back of your neck. Then you need to take a measurement across your bust. That measurement just needs to be super roughly. We're going to add a few more centimeters to that anyways, because then we want to gather the fabric together. So just measure across your bust. For me, that's roughly 17, 18 centimeters, and then just add 5 centimeters to that. So let's say mine is 17, 18, and then I make it to 22. And then the 22 is from here to here. That's my 22 centimeters, which is again like across your bust, plus 5 centimeters. And then you want to round it up. So from here to here, also make it 3 centimeters. And then up here, this is where we're going to sew it together later in the neck. Mine is 13 centimeters. I would also recommend you to also have a 13 centimeters, maybe even 12 or 11, but I wouldn't make it any wider up here. Otherwise you have too much fabric built up in your neck. And then you find the middle here, measure 44 centimeters up. Then you mark your 13 centimeters here. And then you just connect the dots there and there. Measure 3 centimeters up here and up here, so you get a curve here. And that's already it. Okay, now it's time to start sewing. Again, pink is gonna be my outside fabric. And what I'm gonna do with this piece, I'm gonna fold it in half. Good side is facing you when you fold it in half. So the good side is facing each other. And then when you have folded it in half, we sew along here. And then with your other piece, which is going to be your inside piece, which is why mine is in gray, you're also going to fold it in half. And this time it's important that we leave a gap here in the middle. So you're going to sew the first few centimeters, then you leave a gap of around 6 centimeters, and then you sew the rest. And then you want to have 2 of your bust caps in front of you, good side facing you. Then you put another pattern, another cutout piece of fabric on top. And again, I'm making it in pink and gray, just so you know what the inside is going to be. And once you have lined them up, and then you're going to sew along here, and the same over here. You're going to sew along here and along here. And once you have sewn your bust caps, so this is what it should look like now. Then one of them you're going to flip, the other one you're going to leave as it is. And now you're going to stick this one in here. Line it up. Line up the edges at the top here. The 4 layers of fabric need to all line up. And then you're gonna sew along here. And then you can flip it. And now you have one long piece like this. We need to gather some fabric, so I'm adjusting my stitch length to as high as possible. And I'm moving my needle to the right a bit. Now you want to do a long stitch along here and the same for the other side. So again, like not again, I didn't say it before, but this is the part where it's a bit curved. And it's important that you don't front and back stitch. You want to leave quite a bit of thread hanging there towards the back of your machine. Now I take my waist piece, the pink one where we've sewn it together without leaving a gap, and now we can stick a needle in here. It doesn't matter if you do it up here or down here, just so we know where the middle is. And then we can flip it the other way. Now the good side is facing us. And from the middle here, I'm going to measure 2 centimeters, both directions. Then I can take this pin away in the middle here. And then I'm going to measure from both pins 16 centimeters in both directions. And now that means that one of the bust caps we're gonna sew on here and the other one between here. So I'm just going to start with the first one. First I pin the edges in place and then I can gather the fabric and pin everything together. And now I'm gonna sew that with my normal sewing machine with a zigzag stitch. And then this is what it's gonna look like. The inside looks like this. So it's just gathered together. And now what we need to do, and then we have our waist piece facing us with the good side. Then we take our other waist piece, the one with the gap, and you want to make sure that the two good sides are facing each other and you line up the seam here. And then you're gonna pin and sew in one full circle. And then basically you will sandwich the bust caps in between the two waist pieces. So this is what it's gonna look like. And now we just sew in one circle. Okay, so now it's starting to look like the finished top. Lots of threads flying around. And what you want to do is, right now the good side is facing you, the two bad sides of the waist piece are facing each other. What you want to do is, you hold on to them, you pull them apart, and then you want them to meet again with the good side facing. And now you're gonna sew in a full circle again. This step is very important, do it exactly like I did it. And now you wanna sew in one full circle again until you come back to the part where you have just started. So the bust cups, they want to stay inside here. And then you have a big sausage. And now you need to find your gap and flip it all the other way. And now the last step is to fold the seam allowance towards the inside and then close your little gap. And you just want to start sewing a few centimeters before the gap starts and finish a few centimeters after the gap finishes. So I'm going to sew from here to here. Okay, I think I was pulling on my jersey fabric a bit. That's why it looks a bit wavy. Don't pull on your fabric. But it doesn't matter too much because it's on the inside anyways and you won't be able to see it. And now you are finished with your Gigi top. And that's already it for today's sewing tutorial. I feel like this is such a quick and fun sewing project. And honestly, I think it's one of my new favorite tops. I can't wait to wear this. I think I'll wear it tomorrow. I hope, let me know if it was helpful that I did it in 2 different colors. I only do this for you because I don't think I'll actually wear this now. I could, but I prefer it if it's one color. So if it wouldn't make a difference for you, then I make future tutorials in the same color, but if it's helpful, then I'll continue using 2 different colors if there's pieces with lining. So yeah, let me know, tag me in your photos and in your videos. It always makes me so happy seeing how your pieces turn out. And yeah, I hope I see you soon again. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.